What is going on, Raiders? Soda Dragon here. Welcome, and I hope you guys are doing well. So what have I got for you guys today? I have the ultimate guide for the Gaius the Gleeful fusion. So I'm going to be walking you through every single event for this fusion and give you the most efficient ways to get your fragments. So guys, here's the official fragment event calendar from Plarium. And the first thing we're going to look at is how many total frags we can get. So even without the fragments from tournament leaderboards, we can get a total of 115 fragments. So what does this mean? That there's some wiggle room. So if there's some events that you really don't want to complete, you could potentially bypass them. So guys, let's start off with some fusion preparation tips. Now I know the event is already live, but you know what? It's really nice to know these tips just for the next fusion. So first off guys, your number one tip is save your resources. That might seem kind of obvious, but let's go into some detail. So pretty much anything related to the tavern here, make sure to save those resources. Now, no, you cannot use books for fusion events. Those don't really count towards any points, but it's important to save those for things like CVC if you guys practice that. So ascension potions, books, beers, feasts, make sure to save all those. We'll talk about champ training a little bit later in depth. Another thing guys is not only energy, but you need those XP boosts. Those help you out so much for your champ training tournaments. But as many resources as you can save in your inbox, save them. Remember guys, for your advanced quest, you get a 3-day XP boost. Make sure to not pick that up until the start of the champ training tournament part of the events. But arguably the most important resource that you need to save for fusions, the number one resource is going to be gems here. Why is this? Because look what you can buy with gems. You can literally help yourself out in every other area of the events with the single resource gems. If you need XP boosts, look, you can get those XP boosts there. If you need let's say an arena refill, yeah, you can buy that as well. If you need energy, you can buy that as well with gems. We don't need tag team arena refills though, but yeah, if you need shards for those events, right, those summoning events, look at that, you can buy shards as well. And if you need those white potions, yes, you can buy those as well. So gems are going to be your most important resource and your jack of all trades resource for your fusion events. So guys, just be careful when you're using gems for shards, for example, for a non-fusion event, or you're using gems for masteries. Man, 900 gems a pop, 800 gems a pop, that's expensive. And that could really help you out in a fusion event. So once again, be really careful with those expensive gem purchases like this 11 shard pack here or that mastery pack. So guys, quickly, what's the difference between a traditional fusion and this fragment fusion that we have here as far as your preparation? Well, for a traditional fusion, the number one thing you're gonna need is you're going to need a lot of potions. A ton of potions, because you need to fully ascend your champs before you fuse them together. Whereas a fragment fusion, you don't need any potions. So this is going to be the big difference between the two. All right, guys, now let's talk about some specific events, starting with our dungeon tournaments here, like our Ice Golem, Spider's Den, Dragon's Lair, and Fire Knight. So if we're talking about what stage is the absolute best for getting the most tournament points per energy spent, it is going to be stage 20 for all the dungeons. Now, the great thing about stage 20s is not only are they tournament point efficient, but they are time efficient as well, because there is no max damage cap against the bosses. That is, your enemy max HP champs, they can do as much damage as they're going to do against the boss. There is no artificial cap. Whereas stage 21s and over, there is a cap. All of a sudden, your damage cannot exceed 10% of the boss's health in one attack. But stage 20 and under, no, there is no such cap. So that means your runs are going to be a lot faster stages 20 and under versus stage 21 and over. And one last thing to consider, guys, if you want to double dip on your tournaments plus champ training, let's say you want to level up food at the same time that you're farming those tournament points, then stage 20s are going to be a lot easier than your stage 24s or 25s. So that is another benefit to stage 20s. They're much easier to level up food. So once again, guys, everything I'm saying applies to all the dungeons. So Spider, Dragon, Fire Knight, and Ice Golem. Next up, guys, let's talk about Dungeon Divers events. What are the best stages to get the most points? If we're just talking purely about Dungeon Divers points, then your best stage to farm is going to be stage 3 of your dungeons. Yes, stage 3. Once again, if we're taking this in isolation and all we want are the most Dungeon Divers points possible per energy spent. But let's say, you know what, you're willing to sacrifice a little bit of efficiency to potentially get some good gear, because if you're farming stage 3s, you're probably not getting good gear. Well, in second place is going to be stage 16. And in third place is going to be stage 20. So once again, first place for efficiency is going to be stage 3, second place for efficiency is going to be stage 16, and third place for efficiency is going to be stage 20. But there is another thing to consider. A lot of time those Dungeon Divers events are at the same time as your dungeon tournaments like Fire Knight, Dragon, etc. Now, once again, what is the best place to farm for those dungeon tournament points. It's going to be stage 20s. And notice stage 20 is the third best place to farm for your dungeon divers points. So ideally, it's going to be your stage 20s that's going to fit the best for both of those categories if you really want to double dip. And you can actually triple dip as well. Yes, triple dip, it's a thing. So let's say at the same time that you're getting your dungeon divers points and you're getting your dungeon tournament points, you want to champ train. You can level up food for those stage 20s. It's not that hard to build solo champs for stage 20s. So for example, on Friday the 22nd, we see that there's a spider tournament, plus there's a champ training event, plus there's a dungeon divers event. And who can you use to triple dip? Well, Tyrant Ixlamore here. Yes, he can solo this. That means you can level up food at the same time for your champ training, plus you're getting those points for the tournament and points for dungeon divers. If you want to triple dip for Dragon, I know there are a lot of options here, but Drexar here is perfectly fine and he's really accessible. So he can level up your champs at the same time you get those dungeon divers and tournament points. And if you want to triple dip, at least theoretically, yes, Drexar can do it for you for Ice Golem stage 20. Now, this time around, we won't have a chance to triple dip on Ice Golem because there is no champ training tournament at the same time. There's dungeon divers and Ice Golem, but you can double dip here. And just in case you want to level food at the same time, maybe prepare those chickens for next time. Yes, you can do it with Drexar here. All right, guys, onto our artifact enhancement events. So what is the most silver efficient way to get the most points in this event? The most silver efficient method for getting your artifact enhancement points is to level up your gear to level 4. Level 4 is the most efficient place to get your points per silver spent. So ideally, if you're really low on silver, you're going to level up a lot of gear to level 4 and that's it. So what is going to be the most silver inefficient place to level up your gear to? It's going to be level 8. So once again, leveling up your gear to level 4 and just stopping is going to be the most silver efficient per points for this event, whereas leveling up your gear to level 8 then stopping is going to be the least silver efficient place to stop leveling your gear. So what about levels 12 and 16 of your gear? How silver efficient are they? They're actually not too bad. So the point here is if you want to level up your gear to level 4 and stop, that is the most silver efficient. But if you want to level up your gear to level 12 or 16, that's fine as well. They're not too bad. But the one thing you don't want to do is level up your gear to level 8 and then stop. That is the least silver efficient place to stop leveling up your gear. So either levels 4, 12, or 16, but no 8. And guys, when deciding whose gear to level up, make sure you use the recently used first tab right here, and this is going to give you a clue as to who you should level up as far as their gear first. Another thing that can help you to decide what gear to level up first is you're going to go into your gear here and you're going to use the filter, and here you're going to go into substats, speed substats. So really the gear here that you see that's not fully leveled on certain champs that you know you use, you want to go ahead and level up that gear first. Yes, in general, your gear with speed substats are going to be the priority. So yes, level up those gears first that do have that speed substat. And in particular, level up your speed gear. You cannot be too fast in this game. Now, you guys might be saying, well, I'm not really into PvP, so I don't need to be that fast, right? I really like the PvE more. Well, depending on what you want to do for PvE, yeah, you're still going to need a lot of speed. So check out my crisps here that I use for my Infinity Clan Boss team. Look at these stats. He's almost 300 speed and over 5,000 defense. Very, very hard to come up with as far as stats and substats all coming together. But yeah, you're going to need speed even for your PvE team. So if you want to have fun with your account, do some pretty cool stuff, get your speed up on your gear. Next up, guys, let's talk about the Cardinal Sin of champ training. I'm going to show it to you. Tell me if you catch it. If you're thinking the Cardinal Sin here is using all voids as chickens, you're wrong. If you think the Cardinal Sin here is not sacrificing Scrapper before anybody else, you're kind of close. What is the Cardinal Sin? It is sacrificing unleveled food. Notice here, these are all level 1s I'm sacrificing. This is wrong. Now, I mean wrong for a champ training tournament. Normally, this is fine. So ideally, what you want to do is you want to level up your food before you sacrifice it. So if you want to run them through Brutal 12-3 a few times or use a few beers on each of them, either way is fine. All you want to do is make sure they're leveled up somewhat before you use them as food. Now, somewhat, that's up to you. Level 10, level 12, level 15, whatever. Now, they do not need to be maxed out. In fact, that's probably least efficient because more resources go into the higher levels than the lower levels. The lower levels of any champion are much easier to get than those higher levels. So the more you level them up, the least efficient it will be. But level them up somewhat before you sacrifice them. So that's your first tip. Always level up your food before you sacrifice it. Next thing, guys, you want to prioritize high ranked champions and their early levels. Early levels are much more cheaper experience-wise to get. Once they get higher and higher up, the experience required to make them gain a level is much more costly. So all your high-ranked champs, you can even go rares as well. Rares and above, I would say, make sure to level them up at least a few times, and those early levels are going to be the cheapest, therefore the most efficient experience-wise. So for example, if I were to just use one beer on her right now, let me get to the beer, just one, notice how many levels this goes up. 9. But let's say I use another beer, just one more. Now I only go up a few more. I think it was 6. Let me use one more beer. Now it's only a few more, maybe only 3 more. So you see, every time we use an experience beer here, so to speak, and that same experience is equal to all the beers, she's going to get less and less levels. Eventually, she's not going to get any level per beer. We're going to have to put a lot of beers just to get one level into her. And that's my point. Those early levels are so cheap experience-wise. So all the champs that you have that are especially high rank, level them up. Those early levels are so cheap. And once again, guys, I know I said this before, but save your XP boosts because you're going to need them for your champ training. I don't know if you guys have noticed this before, but one of Yumiko's tails looks different from the others. It's not glowing and has this little band around it. And if you look at Corrado, I think he's the one that got that tail. But his face got slashed up, so was it worth it? You guys let me know. Next up, guys, let's talk about the classic arena takedown. Now, if you're silver and below, there's a particular strategy that you can use that you cannot use for gold and up now. Now, let's say you saved up all your arena refills and you're ready to go. The thing is, the more wins you get, the harder your opponents are going to be because you're gaining more arena points. So how can you offset this? Now, once again, this is for silver and below. What you're going to do is you're going to go into your defense, and you're not going to put a defense like this, okay? What you want is a medium-ish type of defense. Basically, you want a team that loses most of the time. Let's say maybe 80% of the time. 100% is too much, okay? So it's not like a single defense with like a common or something like that. But you want a team that can sometimes win. So you don't want a team that loses all the time. So what is this going to do? It's going to mitigate the difficulty that you might gain if you only gained points from arena wins. Because if you're just gaining and gaining points because you have all those arena refills, right? Those opponents are going to start to get harder and harder. So how can you offset that? With arena defense losses. But once again, not like completely weak defense, because you're going to hit way too much and you might drop way too fast. So you have to kind of balance it out. Once again, you want most losses for your arena defense, but not just 100% easy losses where everyone's just going to spam you like crazy and you're going to drop down too quick. So once again, a weak-ish type of arena defense. So guys, here's a hypothetical defense team I might put up for where I'm at in the arena if the strategy worked for where I'm at. It doesn't because it's gold, but let's just say I wasn't in gold, okay? I would put in a defense like this. So what does this do? Well, this team, notice it can win. There is some danger here, but most teams, if they go into it kind of knowledgeable, yeah, they can win against this team. But if you don't, if you just come in with an Arbiter, no immunity set, whatever, your skills get put on cooldown, Torm's gonna freeze, you get nuked. I mean, not good. And yet this team is easily beatable if you know what you're doing. So it's kind of like this. I would get most losses here, but not 100%. No one is just going to spam this like so easily, like 99% of players. So really that's what you want. You want a weak-ish defense, but you don't want people spamming you so easily. And if you're getting too many wins on defense, make it weaker. Go ahead and adjust it. But let me give you another situation. Let's say it's not like this situation where you're so scared that if you get so many wins, all of a sudden it will become difficult in the future. Let's say your arena situation is it's difficult like right now. So what do? Firstly, you put in your best arena defense, not a weakish defense, you put in your best. So ideally, you don't want to drop as much. Now, arena defenses will always lose more than they win. That's just the way it is. But once again, you don't want to lose too quickly. So if you're struggling with arena right now where you're at, first step, once again, put in your strongest arena defense. It's going to lose most of the time, like over 50% of the time, but that is okay as long as it's like not 99% of the time. And next step is you want to look for bots. As far as I understand, they are in every tier of the arena, even in platinum tier right now. So how do you know that team is a bot? Well, a lot of low level champs, low player power, or maybe teams that don't make sense together. Honestly, it's just a guess. Now, if you don't see any bots, you're either going to have to be patient and wait that 15-minute period until you get another free refresh, or you're gonna have to pay your gems for a refresh. Next up, guys, let's talk about Summon Rush. So unfortunately, there is no shortcut around this. It really doesn't matter who you get. What matters is the shards that you use. So the higher quality shard is gonna net you more points. Obviously, the highest quality here being the Sacred Shard, and the least being the Mystery Shard. So as you go up and up in quality of the shard that you use, you're gonna net yourself more points. So you're just gonna have to do some basic math to figure out how many shards you're gonna need to pull, because you are gonna need to pull shards to get points for this event. So because there is no 2x this weekend with the Summon Rush, really use only the minimums that you need to. If your goal in this game is to get legendaries, then really want to be pulling your shards mostly for your 2x event. Now this weekend is not a 2x, there's a lot of 10x's this weekend, but that is not the same thing by far. Okay, so guys, just use the minimums that you need to use to get your points for the Summon Rush, but really save most of your shards, not only for the Champ Chase next week, but also that being a 2x event where you're really much more likely to get a legendary. Next up, guys, is your Champ Chase. Now here, your points are dependent on who you pull. That means your points are dependent, as far as for shards, on luck. Once again, for shards. So if you get lucky and you pull like a ton of legendaries out of like 10 ancient shards, then yeah, you're gonna get a ton of points. Versus, man, you may be using all your sacred shards, all your voids, and all your ancients, and you don't pull any legendaries, you're not gonna get that many points. So unfortunately, out of shards for Champ Chase, a lot of the points you're gonna get are dependent on luck. So as far as our current fusion event, next weekend, that is the 29th of April, is going to be Champ Chase, and it's going to be a 2x Ancients. So really, you want to save your Ancient Shards for next weekend, not this weekend, that is the Summon Rush weekend. So ideally, this weekend, you would be using more of your other shards, maybe your Mystery Shards, some Sacred, some Voids, but really saving your Ancient Shards for that 2x Ancients weekend and that Champ Chase coinciding with it. All right, guys, back to Champ Chase. So once again, out of shards, it's going to be very luck-based how many points you get, but are there any other ways to get points that aren't as luck or chance-based like pulling shards? The first way to get points without shards is going to be your permanent fusions here. You can keep on fusing them even if you've fused them before. So if you really need the points, yes, fuse these guys again. And next up, guys, are your saved up fragment summons if you have them. Do I have them? Yeah, I got a lot. Look, I got Nari here, I got Gromlock, I got Opardin, I got Rian, I got a ton of people, so those definitely count towards Champ Chase. And one more option, I guess this is like the nuclear option, but hey, it's still an option, is to go to your Guardian Ring here and go to your token trader and buy yourself a new legendary. Didn't Plarium promise like new champs for the token trader? I haven't seen any upgrades. But in any case, yes, this is an option. All right, guys, that is it. So as far as what you have to do on a daily basis, I will keep you guys updated on my Raid Daily series. Don't worry, I'll remind you of what you have to do for this fusion just in case you forget. So thanks for watching, guys. And if you haven't yet, like, subscribe, and share. Turn on all notifications. Stay safe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.